welcome to the self-publishing. Hey, welcome to the self-publishing podcast. I don't really know what episodes these are anymore. I guess we're going to find out after the fact because just a little bit of behind-the-scenes SPP intrigue for those of you who care, which is like there's got to be at least 3 of you out there.
There's 4. There's 4 probably.
3 or 4. This is actually the first episode that we're recording after a break, which is actually going to tie into our topic because our topic is balancing your workload, like how to distribute your energy and the tasks that you have effectively to be efficient and effective. And but that's in like
one or the other. Why both? That's kind of.
You got to be both. You got to be efficient. You got to be effective. 2 out of 3. I don't know. But we fast, cheap, and good. You can only have 2. Anyway, we took this break, and that's in real time. Now, if you guys are on the feed, then you're not noticing that. You're just like, okay, there's a new episode, and there was an episode last week, and there will be an episode next week. But for those of you who are live, we haven't recorded it in like a month, and we haven't recorded like the one that we recorded last week. Last week, for those of you on the feed, we actually recorded probably like 2 months ago because we've just been doing this switcheroo.
Yeah, we stockpiled a lot before vacation. We've never had a break like that on the show. We've been very consistent. I think the longest we've had is maybe 1 week not doing it, and then we did like Christmas or something.
Can I just say best month ever?
Really? Because I got a lot of slack saying it was the worst month ever. But of course, those are every month for Dave.
Worst month ever. If you guys want to break with tradition and listen to a Better Off Undead, which we really don't recommend, it is still Better Off Undead officially. Like as of where I'm saying right now, it was Better Off Undead episode number 132. Dave and Johnny bitch about Sean. You'll hear all about some of what happened in Sean's absence. And Dave, one of the things he said was, "I'm really liking not having a show every week. I love that I don't have to deal with this crap." So that's.
I think specifically, I said I love not having to wake up before 3 p.m.
That is what he said specifically.
That was your clarification. But the first was, I like not doing the show every week. And then
if I can ever choose between doing nothing and something, I almost always choose nothing.
I have a shirt
I
that
almost
says
choose something always. I'm
tired of doing something.
I'm really excited about today's Better Off Undead because I have lots of vacation stuff to bitch about, and usually I don't have anything to bitch about. So this will be fun.
Last week was my episode to bitch. So that actually ties into the topic too, because we wanted to. Just for anybody who was worried that self-publishing podcast was going to become too pro, like this is a clear case of no, like we needed a topic. We had a few things we could do, and so we're like, how do we jam them all together? So this idea of balancing your workload is actually like Sean wanted to talk about working to take time off and that sort of thing. And also we wanted to talk about working with a team, working with assistants or people that you hire. And that came into it too because I needed to pick up some slack and Dave needed to pick up some slack. Of course, being Dave, he then threw it out and angrily yelled at the slack.
He stomped on it.
And Dave and I decided to do a podcast with just the 2 of us, which was awkward. But now I feel like maybe after 3 years, Dave and I are beginning something where we could be alone together, and it wouldn't be really awkward. It would just be. I
expected more awkward silences, but there weren't any until the end, and the show was over.
You could cut the sexual tension with a knife.
Yeah, it was hot. I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad I listened to it on a walk, so I could vent my own energy. It was good.
So for those of you who are maybe new to self-publishing podcasts, this will be the 3rd or 4th time that you hear the whole something cool. So it's been a month. I'm guessing that some cool things have happened, and I'm trying now to struggle to think of something before it's my turn. So
don't worry,
sure that something occurs.
Just let Sean roll, and
that's what I mean. Yeah.
By then, the audience will have forgotten that we even have anything to say, and we could just roll on to the next thing.
Or they're just going to be impatient with it, and they're going to be like, "Well, Sean's went really long, so I hope these other guys aren't going to say anything."
And
then we come off like heroes.
I have a really, I'll just do a tiny one this week.
No.
Yeah. I have a new app that I just got, and it's called Weekend Read, and I love it. It's developed by John August, who does the Script Notes podcast, and I've been reading a lot of screenplays. I think I'm up to like 30 that I've read right now so far, and
Show off.
they just kind of suck to read. I put them on my Kindle, but they're just, they're all PDFs. So the formatting of them, the formatting on a screenplay is very specific, and there's a lot of white space.
You have to like scroll sideways and stuff.
Yes. So I have to scroll sideways, and it's just they're really ugly to read, and I have to hold the Kindle sideways, and I can never see the whole thing at once, and it's just kind of a pain in the ass. And I really like reading them, but I don't like the experience of reading them. And so, but John August, the app, the Weekend Read app, I think it might only be iOS, but I'm not sure. But it's really fantastic. Not only it comes with a small library of screenplays, but you can import them also, and it's really cool. It kind of, I don't know how to describe it other than it makes the experience of reading a screenplay really seamless and fluid and just kind of enjoyable. It understands what a screenplay format is, and it uses every bit of the screen, and it just kind of puts the pages together so they glide. And I've read a couple of screenplays now on Weekend Read, and I love it so much, and it's just a totally different experience. And I'm actually reading them on my iPhone, which is way better than reading them on my Kindle Fire, which is like 3 times the screen size. So anyway, Weekend Read, I think it's an awesome app if you're into reading screenplays.
There you go. Anything for you, Dave?
No, I got nothing.
Come on, asshole. It's been a month, and you cannot come up with one cool thing?
I don't know. No, I got nothing. It's summertime. My son's
You've seen
home.
no movies. You've seen no TV shows. You've run into no handsome men at any functions that you could angrily hate.
I got things to bitch about, but that'll be on the next show.
That'll be on Better Offline. All right, Dave, I'll save you. I have one. And that would be the evolution of our print formatting. Now, this is just another good example of both iterating and optimizing. If you're new to SPP, last year's we choose a word each year. Last year's word was iterate. It was just get better. Don't worry about being fantastic or excellent right now. Just worry about getting better.
That's this year's word, I thought.
No, that's optimize.
No, I have iterate tattooed on my left butt cheek.
I
got in January. Am I a year behind?
No wonder. Well, yeah, no wonder. No wonder this explains so much of the confusion. You've been doing last year's word.
Oh, jeez.
Supposed to be optimizing this year. So the
looks like I've got to book an appointment this weekend.
Gotta get another tattoo. But Garrett is working on our print compiles right now, and he's working on ebook compiles too. So this is actually a formatting or compiling or presentation of your product in general, but there's something really cool about print, and one of the things we're just trying to get a little better each time. When I say we, I mean Garrett. Like we're quality checking them, and we're making some suggestions, but he's doing the work. And in the Dream Engine, so we just released the Nightmare Factory, which is the second Dream Engine book. And unlike the first book, it alternates 2 point of views.
Oh, I know what you're
going to say. Chapters, I love this. And there's Cora chapters. Right. And so, and I didn't even know this was going to happen. He did it for our nonfiction books too, but this was where it was really cool. And so the Isla chapters have a little butterfly icon. It goes chapter number, chapter
it's
name,
on my right
and then
cheek,
the little butterfly icon. And Cora chapters have a dragon icon. And all through book 1, there had been all butterflies because they're all Isla except for the last chapter, which is Cora, and it had the dragon. And in the Nightmare Factory, the last chapter is from a new point of view, and then so it's suddenly like you get this new icon at the very last chapter. It just kind of is a different experience. It's just neater. It's just cooler. And he's been doing I don't know how to describe this, but like ghosted out covers, if that makes any sense. I could probably grab a book off the shelf because I think he did it in the Invasion books, where it's just like it's like a different version of the cover inside. It just looks so much more pro.
Yeah, it looks really pro.
Really, really cool. So I would just suggest that anybody don't forget about things like formatting. We have to look more and more pro if we want to stand out in this increasingly crowded marketplace, and that's one way to do it.
Yeah, I'll do one more cool thing since Dave doesn't want
You
to.
do one for Dave on Dave's behalf.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The movie Trainwrecked. You guys know this movie?
Amy Schumer.
I do.
Yeah. She's
There was an awesome interview with her. I don't know if it was UK or Australia. I don't remember. She was doing an interview, and a guy said something where he referred to her. I don't know if he's. I'm not sure what he was referring to, and this is where it's kind of confusing. But he was referring to. She was talking about skirt length or something, and he said something. Do they have the word skanky in the U.S.? And she just got really, really angry with him, and she was like making fun of his mother, who was dead, being a skank. And it was so uncomfortable to watch. It was great.
Why did she get so angry?
Because she thought. I think she thought he was making like, you know, any woman that parties or has sex is a skank. Like he was being like kind of like you know, a jerky guy, I'm guessing, is what she took it as, rather than, and he might have been, I don't know. It was hard to tell, but she just turned.
Was she awesome though? Was she funny?
It was uncomfortable as hell. It was like watching your mom call your grandmother a C word at Thanksgiving dinner, and then it's
my mom specifically, or just a mom in general?
Well, that's exactly where I was going to go, because we know that Dave is thinking a lot about John's mom.
Yeah.
Welcome, new listener.
I didn't love this movie. I saw it while on vacation with my Cindy and I got one date night, and this is what we saw, and I didn't love it, but I liked a lot about it. And I loved her as the lead. I felt like it was a real star-making performance for her. I felt like she really did carry the movie. She held herself really well. And I didn't realize, even though this is probably stupid obvious, but I didn't know until afterwards, that she wrote it too. And I just figured Judd Apatow wrote it. Like I went to go see it as a Judd Apatow movie more than as an Amy Schumer movie, but I left being a really big Amy Schumer fan. The writing is solid. Her jokes are really funny. Her delivery is great. And she's not the kind of lead that you normally get to see in a rom-com. Like, she's just not. And I guess that's because she wrote it. She got to be the lead. But anyway.
Was it odd watching LeBron James act?
Yes, I will actually say I expected so little of him, and
it's like watching Shaq act.
No, it's not.
No. I think he's actually he has some chops. I think, from what I saw.
I mean, he just always looks pissed off on the court. So like, I didn't expect him to have any kind of charm, but he's very charming in the movie, and I was really surprised. That was the first thing Ethan asked me when I got home. How was LeBron James? I said he was good.
You didn't take Ethan to see the movie too?
I did not.
His idol.
My children really want to see Vacation, and there's absolutely zero chance in hell they're going to see it before the next few years, and they're very disappointed because they think the trailers make it look funny.
Trailers can do that though.
Yeah, right. So
anyway, on to the topic, which is balancing your workload. So I guess let's break this down spontaneously, right? So having members of a team and having people you outsource to, and Vacation. So Sean seems to be chomping at the bit to do Vacation, and not the movie, not the Chevy Chase movie, apparently.
No, this is a new one. This is a new one with Ed Helms and Christina Applegate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. It's the new
two
generation.
Movies, same title.
Yeah, no, it's the new generation.
I don't hear it.
It's a reboot.
No, is it the same franchise though? Is it?
No. He's Rusty actually. He's
okay.
his son. I'm wondering if Chevy Chase makes a guest appearance.
I bet you anything he does.
Yeah.
It actually looks kind of funny. Like,
I know it didn't do well. It opened Wednesday and it didn't do well. So I haven't
read the
open
it on a
yet.
Wednesday?
To get the monies.
But nothing ever does well unless it's a holiday.
Sometimes I don't know.
That's dumb.
I think when a movie when they suspect maybe it didn't screen well with audiences that it's not going to do well, they're like, okay, well, let's put it out a few days earlier so we can get some extra time. I could be completely off on this.
You're totally making this up.
Yeah, I'm totally pulling it out.
All right, awesome.
Pulling it out of your ass. All right, so do you want to? I mean, Sean was gone for 3 weeks, I think. No. It wasn't 3 weeks. It was.
It felt like 3 weeks.
It felt like 3 weeks because I think it was like 2 weeks. Let me just guess. If only Sean were here.
It was 10. It was 10 days. I was in California for 10 days, but then there was also travel time because we drove. We wanted to have our car while we were there. And yeah, I'll set the stage a little bit here. This was my first vacation in 4 years.
Let's get a flashback noise.
And that's a long time to to not really unplug in any stretch. And the last time that
let me just interject that Sean doesn't unplug on weekends either. So he has literally been plugged for 4 years.
Yeah, no, it's true. I do work every day. I didn't work on Christmas because Cindy would have absolutely killed me.
What, do you want a hero parade?
No, I do not want a hero parade. But that's the thing too. I really love my work, so it's not like I'm not being a martyr about it. Like I love working. I would gladly work every day. But my family doesn't want me to work every day.
You want Dave to weigh in on that one?
My family wants me to work every day.
Dave, you need to work every day. No, I don't want to do any work.
So the last time that we went to California, I actually worked all summer. I worked every day. It was hard to work because we had people over constantly, but that's when Yesterday's Gone was born. That's when I pulled the plug on a lot of the nonfiction and copy stuff I was doing and decided, you know what, I want to do fiction full time. It was because I got away long enough to, really have some perspective, and I think that's really important. But even before then, I'm not a guy who takes vacations. I worked from the time I was 17 until I opened the preschool at 30. The only vacation I took that was longer than 2 days in a row was 3 days that I took when I got married. And that was it. And the preschool was endless, and the 7 years I went online was endless. So literally this last 2-week vacation that I took was the first vacation I've really had in my life that was, any substantial period of time. And what's hilarious about it was that I haven't been back to California for 4 years, and so I had a lot of family and friends that wanted to connect, and it so didn't feel like a vacation because, and I'll bitch about this on BOU later, but literally all of our time was spent driving to and from places and meeting up with people and just kind of connecting those dots. And so what this vacation,
guys, I was getting bitched at on Slack, which you shouldn't have been doing, for telling him about cool work things that were happening that he couldn't find the time to work on.
Yeah, there were cool audios. He was having interviews, or not interviews, but collab meetings with people, and yeah, I couldn't get in. I couldn't dig in, and there were 2 things I thought for sure I was going to work on. Beats for a new story that Johnny and I are starting next week, actually, and screenplay. I wanted to dick around with the screenplay that I'm working on, and I figured those don't feel like work at all. Those are things I want to do anyway. I'll wake up early, I'll do those, but whatever. I didn't touch either one of them, and I literally did not work for a couple weeks, other than checking a few emails and a few Slacks, but the point is, what I really got from the vacation is that I really want a vacation. I liked being away. I love work. I missed work, but I also like the idea of being away. And the next vacation, I think I'm serious about this. I want to go to Hawaii because I don't know anybody in Hawaii, and it's an island, and I just want to be there.
Don't go when Robin and I go, because just be a mess.
No, definitely not. So I am excited to take that, but I really do think that regardless of how much you love your work, regardless of how hard you're willing to work, I think it's really important to unplug and kind of reset your mind. And right before I left, one of the things that Johnny said was, I'll miss you, but I'm looking forward to your vacation. I'm looking forward to
leave me the hell alone.
I'm looking forward to getting more work done, having less bullshit in Slack, and having you come back re-energized with a new perspective, because that's what happens when you leave. And I think that taking time away from the grind it really is essential. And I do believe that I would be doing this regardless, but this whole trajectory that Dave and I started 4 years ago, it wouldn't have happened, I don't think, as fast if I hadn't gone to California. I think walking the boardwalk allowed me to see what I didn't want to return to Ohio to do. You know, I didn't want to sit there and just write
Stop
copy.
after return to Ohio.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that phase.
Yeah, it's very true. So anyway, I think out of all of us, I think Johnny is by far the best about this. You know, he's pretty vigilant about taking time to himself. Even just like logical things like I don't work after X time, I don't work on the weekends, and he also takes time for his family and for himself rather regularly, and I think that's a good example to follow.
Well, it is down to what you want too. So it's interesting that you made the distinction about vacation and what's vacation, and the lines blur a lot the more you do. So if you're a part-time writer, this may not apply, but as you do more and more, and if you become full-time and you're sort of living your dream, do you have I feel like there should be musical accompaniment for that one, but I can't think of any. Maybe just do the Dream Police or something like that. If you're doing that, then when I take time away, I want to check in, and I feel a little neurotic about it, but it's like that's fun. Like and even the business stuff. Like it's not just like I want to experience the stories or something like that. It's like I just there's a cool thing that we're working on. There's a cool strategy that we're enacting, or somebody that we're going to talk to, and we're talking to a few people both this week and next week that are I'm just very excited about that, and that makes a difference. But I am kind of militant as much as I can about being done at 6 p.m. my time is when I stop. And I always say I don't work on weekends, but that falls apart a little because we're at a very rushed phase right now. I just have a lot going on, and so I find myself picking up some loose ends that I'd rather probably not. But even when I'm off work on weekends, I'm still checking in with Slack and email and whatever, and I don't necessarily even respond to a lot of stuff, but I want to know what's going on because it's interesting. But I think you need those breaks. I mean, as soon as Sean came back, I took a little mini vacation. It was that was just coincidental, and we went to if you know, Ohio has Hocking Hills, like Old Man's Cave and stuff. So it's like out in the middle of nowhere. Like there isn't even a cell signal, and so I was forcibly disconnected for 2.5 days. And normally I would be checking in on things, and I couldn't, and it was kind of nice. So I see all sides of this. It was like I can't check my email. I don't want to check my email, and I forgot because we were just hiking all day. See, you need to recharge those batteries, though, no matter how much you love it.
I think one thing too that you kind of can't escape if you're in a creative business. You know, if you're a writer, you're really never 100% off duty, because at least if you're a good writer, right? Because you're always observing the world around you. You're always pulling in stuff that you're going to use later. And you know, I found that to be totally true. You know, there were things that were just normal stuff that I was seeing that I thought, well, I could apply that to this story or that story, or you know, these beats when I get back, and or oh, that's a cool business idea. And I think that you're always kind of on if you're using your brain, but I think that stepping away, it allows you to see things from different angles too. And I think that's really important, because if you sit in the same seat every single day, and you know, you walk the same track every single day, and you talk to the same people every single day, you're not really doing anything to broaden your perspective. And I think that that's really limiting. No offense, Dave.
Well, I was actually going to ask about Dave's work boundaries or work habits, or because we joke a lot that you're working all the time and you're.
And he doesn't like to leave. Like, he doesn't like people. So what do you do for fresh perspective?
And do you take vacations? Do you have times off that you decree? Well, but let's be fair though, because vacation is usually a fun word for most people. But it's fun to imagine Dave.
It's a burden for Dave, yeah.
Right.
He gets a vacation when his family takes a vacation.
Dave's wife comes in. Hey, let's take a vacation, and Dave says, "Yeah, go ahead."
My family actually went out of state earlier in the summer to visit family, and I did not go. Well, one, I probably wouldn't go anyway because I don't want to be in a car with all the kids driving that far. It would just probably drive me nuts. I'd
All
probably
the
jump.
kids? How many kids were going?
My sister-in-law has 2 kids, and then my son, so that's 3 kids total. And they're all good kids, and I actually, I like them. They don't drive me nuts, but being in a car with anybody would drive me nuts. Let alone 3 kids.
Sterling and Stone road trip.
Yeah, I would lose my mind. But yeah, they went away, and I was actually looking forward to when they went away because I was going to, relax. I was gonna
How'd that work out?
redo my office and all this other stuff. I had all these plans.
Dave is surprisingly ambitious. Just because it never turns out doesn't mean he doesn't think about it.
But then Yesterday's Gone was running long, so I wound up not finishing Yesterday's Gone until like a couple days before they came back, and I was so pissed because I was like, just all this time that I had alone. Because usually my family, I do have to spend time with them, otherwise, I'm a jerk. So it's usually like I feel most creative when my family needs me most. Like I have the most energy, and then by the time I'm done, like playing with my son and just doing all the obligations I have, I'm just wiped out and I don't feel like doing anything. So it's a real chore.
What would you do if that occurred and Sean said, I need a cover designed?
Well, what would I do?
If you're totally stressed out and you don't think you can competently handle it, just give up, right?
I would probably jump off of a building. Well, I would have, but then 99 Designs came along, and I think they saved a lot of people like me that would have otherwise committed suicide.
I've heard that. That's in their testimonials.
I wonder how many 99 Design ad reads feature the word suicide.
Can't be any more than feature a lot of the other words we use.
No, that was the thing. Like, a lot of times, like I had to do before we, outsourced covers and worked with other designers. I was doing everything, and it was difficult to be in both a creative space and do covers, especially when it was a cover I couldn't do right. And that was a lot of covers because my Photoshop skills are limited. So we went to 99 Designs for a lot of our covers, and what I couldn't do, they could always do. It was like I had this idea for like the Dark Crossings cover, and I tried. I must have did like 50 different mock-ups of a Dark Crossing cover, like trying to get it right. And it was months and months, and Sean's like, we want to get this book out sometime before I die. So we went to 99 Designs and said, okay, well let's try. A last ditch effort to try to get this cover done, and we had like I don't know how many designs. It was a lot of designs, but there was like 4 I think that we had that I just loved all of them. I wanted to use them all, but we weren't going to do that because it's only one book. So they just amaze me though. Every time we've gone to them, their designers have gone above and beyond, and it's always a very quick process, and it's painless, and
all you stand to lose is just a lot of money.
No, and that's the best part. If you don't like the designs, you just say no thanks, walk away. But that's never happened. I've never had a situation where I had like nothing to choose from. It was always too much to choose from, too many good designs, and that's not something you see a lot in life where you have just too much good stuff. Yeah. Yeah, usually life just gives you a bunch of crap, but no, 99 Designs, they give you more good stuff than you could possibly handle. So if you want, yeah, you take it home, Johnny.
99 Designs will not disappoint you like life.
Yeah.
Start your custom design today at 99designs.com/SPP. Use that link, you get the free power back upgrade valued at $99. I see a theme, and that'll get you more designer time and attention. And on average, you get about 185% more designs. So 99designs.com/SPP. Anyway, so continuing
Did you miss the ad reads?
I did them personally. Like Dave and I got together regularly. Yeah, I mean, I would Skype Dave in, and I'd say, this meatloaf looks great if it only had a cover.
That's awesome.
Not that we had meatloaf, but
I tried to use 99 Designs to watch my son when my wife and I wanted to go out, but they wouldn't do that. I was kind of disappointed in them for the first time.
Oh man, I hope you got your money back, or you had nothing to lose.
I had nothing to lose.
Nothing to lose. So anyway, continuing that's it almost seems on topic, almost, because that was like vacation and energy, but we could also talk about team, because outsourcing covers, right? But one of the things that I noticed happened, and I don't know if this happened on the CI side, but it definitely happened on whatever I'm controlling, where I think about halfway through the vacation, Sean's vacation, he's like, so are you? Do you want me to come back, or are you just having? Is it nice not having my bullshit? And I said, it is quiet, like like not like not literally quiet, but like slack. And by the way, I'm not blaming Sean. Like I get into it too. Hey, this cool thing or whatever, this whatever. And
yeah, you should never put the two of us together because it's just relentless.
It's relentless. And if you do get a Dave to be the control rod and say how stupid we are, which is good. But anyway, so I said, well, I feel like I'm getting more done in that I'm not allowing myself to be interrupted and I'm not being interrupted, but all this shit that apparently you normally handle, I'm having to handle. And so there was all this stuff that just our normal order of business was, okay, well, I know Sean handles that. And I didn't have that out, so I would see it, and I would normally just ignore it because I know he's handling it, but then I had to do it. And so it pointed to a few things. Number one, it pointed to the importance of partnerships and how to equitably distribute tasks. But also, a lot of that stuff wasn't even stuff that either of us should have been handling. It was niggling little things where, okay, well, I know he'll handle it, but wouldn't it be nice if we had our systems arranged such, and we will, where it wasn't something that either of us touched.
Yeah, I'll add to that. So I came back and I wasn't able to do the beats that I really wanted to do while I was away. And so I was really excited to like dig in. I'm getting back on Monday. I'm gonna dig in. And I spent, the first couple of days just doing bullshit admin stuff, like to catch up, right? And
then you don't even feel like being creative, right?
No, it's just like it's very draining. Tuesday was just stupid because we had another Scrivener issue, and we lost the copy of the Ruby Room, and I spent 3.5 hours looking for it, and it was so maddening. It was just so frustrating, and thinking, okay, well, it looks like I'm gonna have to polish this again. And we eventually found it, but that was just terrible. But anyway, time away from all that admin stuff. I mean, it's wonderful because we do have a great team, and Amy sorts through a lot of our stuff and makes sure that we're dotting I's and crossing T's, and that's really great. But that admin stuff, we shouldn't be doing it. We should be thinking about ways to drive the business forward. We should be telling stories. We should be making executive decisions, and really that's where our time should be spent. And the good thing was, and again, this is about stepping away and getting that perspective, when I came back, the admin stuff hurt more than it normally does. Because normally I just do it, whatever. Like, it's part of the day, I'm used to doing it, and it's fine. But I was a little less tolerant of it getting back. Like, I wanted to get back to the stories. I wanted to get back to the big decisions. I wanted to get back to the cool meetings we had scheduled and that kind of thing. And so I think that, really deciding what your core strengths are and what drives you, what makes you happy, that's the stuff that's eventually going to build your business, and it's going to put money in the bank, and you need to make as much time for that stuff as possible. But that does mean outsourcing. It does mean building your team. And the good thing was, as Johnny said, even though we're not where we need to be with all of that stuff being handled, we're definitely better than we've ever been. Like, we're farther along on that path, so that's good.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I hate to say all or use all-encompassing words, but I sort of feel like just about any writer who is serious about being an authorpreneur, if we want to call it that, whether you are making a living or just part-time, I would say that just about anybody who's serious should look at having some sort of admin help. You can get virtual assistants in various forms for just a few hours a week, and even if you have somebody, and they're just working 2 hours a week, and you're spending a small amount on them. It's amazing. The first time I did that before I was actually authoring, when it's like, oh, I don't have to do that. I don't have to do that thing. And it clears your mind to do the stuff that you should be working on. Now, when you have as big of a task as we do, because Sterling and Stone, we have 6 imprints that we manage, multiple lines of work, and we're doing books and programs and apps coming up and services and all sorts of crazy stuff. And that's a lot. Like, and so we have Amy, we have Monica, we have Garrett, and we have Audra is our podcast producer, and she's working with us real regularly now. And so we have a lot to handle, and we have Maya, who's doing a lot of our admin, and there's certain relationships within that where, like, typically it goes from us to Amy to Maya. We do talk to Maya, of course, we like her, but usually that's not the normal order of business. So we have a very complicated structure, but I think a lot of people, so Julie Huss, who is on, she has one assistant that she talked about. She talked about her assistant, and that's just one person. And I think that just about anybody should look at getting what they need and then iterating to where they want to go. So we have a lot of iterating. We have a lot of, okay, let's get better at this. Let's do a little bit more each time. But a lot of people just, okay, well, let's have you do compiling. One person do compiling, and then compile better. And then, okay, why don't you do my print or something like that? And you can just get better all the time to take more off of your shoulders and do more what you should be doing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. I definitely started outsourcing before I could afford to. But I think that's why I could afford to sooner, and that's kind of where the company is now. Like we're paying for more help than we could probably, really justify. But that's okay. It's a business expense, and to get where we want to go, that's necessary. And again, it's about sticking to your core strengths, and it's not just what you're good at; it's what you genuinely enjoy doing. It's the same thing as, if you're writing something and it's taking you forever and you're only getting a couple hundred words out a day, you might be writing the wrong thing because it should be exciting, it should be fun. And I think work is the same way. If you're hating everything that you're doing and it's taking you a long time, then you might be working on the wrong things. And there are people who will like to do the things that you hate doing, and be excited to do them. You just need to hook up with them. And if you can't pay them, then maybe that's the kind of person you want to partner with. There's a lot of stuff that, like Dave and me and Johnny, the three of us, we have compatible skills, and not compatible.
I thought, yeah, I was good. Do I not know something?
We have compatible skills, and we overlap, and that's great, because there are things that Dave just never ever would want to touch that we'll do, and there's things that he's great at that he'll take. And so I think that's really important. There's a book by Chris Ducker called Virtual Freedom that is absolutely worth reading. It's a quick read, and what I really like about it, there's a lot of books out there about outsourcing, but I think his takes the perspective I like the most out of everything I've read, where it really is, you shouldn't outsource copy. And I think that's a lot of, you'll see that in a lot of the Kindle Gold Rush products too, especially where they say, the key to making a ton of money on Kindle is to outsource all your stories. I so hate that idea.
And let me even interject here. I don't want to say a name because I don't know if this is something that I should say or not, but Sean and I talked to somebody who's a really well-known guy on the internet, and we were shocked to learn that he writes all his emails, doesn't outsource it, because that's a core thing. So yeah. I just wanted to pop that in. I don't want to say who it is.
Dean Koontz.
Dean Koontz. No, this was actually marketing copy, but it's the sort of thing that a lot of people would think I want to outsource that because maybe I don't even like it. Like, I don't want to do that. Like the emails that we write, I write all of the Realm and Sands emails, and I write pretty much all the smart artists. Ones. Yeah. And it takes a long time, but we've just learned that's one of my things. That's one of my strengths.
So you don't wait. So what you're saying here is you don't want to take your direct communication with your most loyal readers and fans and farm it out to somebody that doesn't speak English?
I don't know that I'd put it in such strict terms.
Well, I think what Johnny's actually
speak a little bit.
That would be hilarious, just to have poorly written emails.
I actually think that'd be funny.
Thank you for the subscribing of Realm and the Sands.
Yeah,
we should do that for April Fool's next year. That would be pretty hilarious. The person that Johnny's talking about is a great copywriter. They made tens of millions of dollars copywriting, and we asked him, so do you outsource that? And he said, oh, never. Never, never, never. And I think that it did surprise me a little bit because I expected him to at least outsource maybe the rough drafts or something, but he doesn't. He does it all himself. Even though he doesn't always like it, and I think that's important too. It's know where you belong in the business. Know what's important.
So what are some that writers, especially beginning writers that don't have a big budget and stuff, what are some of the things that they could outsource at minimal cost that will help them move forward, that will help them focus on the writing? What are some of the tasks?
I think the big one is web work. I think a lot of writers want to do like all their own stuff. They want to figure out everything with their WordPress site. And I think it's a huge time suck. And I think for most
when I was doing a comic, I seriously redesigned my website because I was learning HTML and all that stuff just to make my site look good because I didn't really have the money to pay someone to do it at the time. So I must have redesigned my site like 100 times.
So wait, you're saying that you were neurotic about rearranging your visual environment?
Yeah, I know.
I've never seen this behavior from you before.
But see, I believe that not only should most writers not be doing that, I think that for a lot of writers it's an excuse. It's I'm still working on my business, in air quotes, right? They're doing something to drive their business forward instead of actually doing the work of writing a story. And nothing on your website is as important as getting the story done. It's just not. Your story is that's your core offering to your reader. Like that's what's going to drive you forward. And so I think that WordPress stuff is very basic. You should absolutely outsource that. I think basic accounting, things like that, things that take you a long time and that you hate doing. You know how I feel about covers. I think that a lot of people will spend a lot of time trying to dink around with Photoshop and learn Photoshop, and they won't spend $300 on a cover, but they'll spend 30 hours, right? And you should be worth more than $10 an hour. You should invest in yourself more to spend those 30 hours writing something else, improving your craft. Yeah.
And when you don't have a lot to spend, that is hard to hear. Like I remember the first time that I thought about spending, $20 a week or something like that. But the thing is that done right, that will recoup your money. Now, the thing is you have to be patient because it will take you more – this is my experience, and I've heard this a lot. It will take you more at the beginning, not less, because you have to explain a system to somebody. You may want to make like screen cap videos. They're going to do it wrong by your definition a few times, and you just kind of –
Everybody will disappoint you.
Everybody will disappoint you. And so, for instance, I think a good example of this is formatting is another good thing that you can outsource. We have, like I said, we have Garrett Robinson doing all of our compiles. He's doing ebooks, paperbacks, hardbacks for everything. We're just recompiling everything. And Garrett's compiles weren't perfect at the beginning. They were good. But they get better. And they're certainly better than mine. I mean, when I started doing paperbacks, it was just like, okay, can I just do one long Word document, and then you fuck up the headers, and it's just a mess. And so, like, why would I not outsource that? But at the beginning, if you have a very specific way, okay, I've done it this way, and you're trying to explain it to somebody, it's going to take longer to get your formatting done. You're gonna if you're used to the control, like the control freak thing, where like if I want a new copy of the compile for the Nightmare Factory, I can go do it right now. I have to stop what I'm doing and take care of it. But if you have an assistant or somebody, you have to assign it to them. You have to wait because you know what? They're not just sitting there waiting like a dog begging for your tasks. They'll get to it whenever. If it's Sunday morning, they're probably not going to do it till Monday, if that. And you have to wait. You have to be patient.
You have to plan ahead.
Yeah, and they may not do it the way you like, and so it's very tempting to be like, well, it's just faster to do it myself. But
and you can't you just kidnap people that do these things and put them in your dungeon and make them do it?
That's the best way to get the most response out of them. Right. I mean, let's face it. And
I never have to wait for my assistants. Let me just say that.
And we're a little unrealistic on that ourselves too. Like we probably expect more responsiveness at certain times. Like really, I don't think anybody should be expected to respond on a Saturday who's not.
Can you go back in time and do this 2 days ago?
Right. So it is frustrating, and it'll feel like you're not recouping your money. But as you get used to it, so like we now, and I don't mean to be saying like it's not like Garrett needed all this help with compiles or anything like that. It's not like he was a bad compiler and we had to watch him. It's just the example I'm using. But like now, it's just like we do check them, but we don't. It isn't micromanaged. It's like, okay, well, can you change this, this, and this, and the task goes back and forth a few times, and I know at this point I can kind of forget about it because the task is going to come back, check it again, and then it gets done. I know it's going to be done right, and once your team gets anything and you've worked with them enough, then you can start to let that stuff leave your head, which leaves you more efficient. They're doing what they want to do. Just real quickly, like Sean said, find somebody who may like to do what you want to do. And this is what entered in my head, which I thought was funny, is Maya, who works with us. When we were having our first call, she's like, we have our website is on Copyblogger's Rainmaker platform. And so she goes, is there like a big Rainmaker manual that I can just dig into and geek out on it for several days? And I'm like, she was excited about that. Like that was something she wanted to do.
It, like with irony at all. And I think that's true. I think people tend to be very egocentric, right? And they think, oh, because I really like this thing, everybody likes this thing, or because I hate this thing, everybody hates this thing. And that's so not true. There's something that you're a ninja about that, other people suck at. And there
are people who like Benny Hinn.
There are millions, I hear.
And I call those people demons.
And so I think that it's a matter of knowing what you want and connecting with the other people. It could be in a partnership sense, or it could be as you're paying for the work. And it is painful to pay for stuff when you can't afford it. But I don't know. I feel like that's a cost of doing business, and I feel like if you're trying to build a writing business, you're pretty lucky because you don't have the same overhead that a lot of other startup businesses, have. You don't have big rent for an industrial space, commercial space. You don't have, you're not opening a pizza place, which is pizza places. You see all the, new open all the time because it's a relatively inexpensive business to open. But you still have to pay for a big oven. You have to pay for the space. You have to pay for employees. A writing business is a very small expense, really. And to pay for things like web design help and cover art and edits, like those are just basic expenses that you should pay for. And an assistant a couple hours a week, and also be smart about how you spend your time too. There's some stuff that you shouldn't necessarily outsource, but you also shouldn't be doing. If you feel like you have to spend 10 hours a week on Twitter, or you're not going to sell any books, and should I outsource that? No, just like get off Twitter. Right? I think it's important to know what you're doing and why you're doing it.
I know we used, even now we get emails from people that they'll ask for some advice, and then we'll tell them, and it is along these lines, like covers, for example, or just other stuff, editing, things that should be done by other people unless they're a pro. Well, editing should always be done by somebody else. But even if you're not a pro at covers, get somebody else to do it. But we get email all the time from people that they're asking advice, and then we tell them, this would be good. I mean, outsource that. Focus on your writing. Outsource what you can. And so many people complain that they don't want to spend money because it's almost like they're not treating writing like a business at all. Like any outlay of money seems like a negative to them, and they're not being professional in that aspect. If you're not willing to put money into your craft, then you probably shouldn't be doing your craft. Now, I'm not saying you got to spend a lot, but you got to spend some money. I mean, even when I was doing comics, I spent money on good supplies. I spent money on Photoshop. I bought my art supplies, stuff that needed to be done that a lot of people would just take the cheaper way out.
Well, it's putting your mind in the right place too. You're saying that this deserves respect. This deserves and like Haley right now, Haley just bought some do you know Copics markers?
Yeah.
She bought them, and she bought them with her own money, and it's because she wanted markers for her art. It was important to her. And oh man, does she respect those markers? Because she knows like I'm not buying her more. Like that's her thing. Like that's important to her, and I love that she bought those with her own money. And I think that you have to do that, and it tells you. I think that there's also value in paying for it, because when you pay for it, and I think the cover is a good example, because like as much as we joke about the $2.99 ad read and stuff, like $300, that's a good metric we can use for a cover, right? And but seriously, people will spend 30 hours figuring out their cover instead of
I've done more than that.
right, instead of just getting something that looks professional from the beginning. So they spend more, to look less, and you have to say, I'm worth it as a writer, even if, and you said this already, Dave, but even if that's not going to pay off for a while, like it's okay to spend it now. I started buying stock when I was pretty young. I definitely wasn't 18, but I had a money manager doing it for me, and I knew from very, very early age that I was going to spend money on stuff and not get any return on it, until I was much older. And then shortly after, I think it was about 19, I got a statement back where I had made $250 that month, above what I spent, and I felt so happy because I had been contributing to it for a couple of years, and all of a sudden I just made this extra $250. Of course, I didn't make it; I didn't cash out or anything, but my balance was higher. But it's that mindset. I'm glad that I had that experience, because it's always helped me to kind of see long term in that way. You feed it, you feed it, you feed it, you feed it, and you don't make anything, and you're putting in more than you're taking for a long time, and then all of a sudden those numbers reverse, and you're still putting in the same amount, but your yield is so much higher. And I think that creative business is like that.
And I do want to say on the comment, I do realize I'm being a little hypocritical in the fact that I spent probably thousands of hours doing web design when I should have just ponied up the money to have someone else do it. And at the time, I really could not afford. I had actually gone to a few people to ask them for quotes on web design, people that had done other comic sites that I liked a lot, and they were all way out of my price range. So I spent the time and learned to do it. But it helped me a little bit in some areas, but in the long run, I think I would have been better off just focusing on the comic and paying somebody to do the website.
Yeah, I agree.
I think another version of this too is partners. So this would be sort of a higher tier thing where you're. Ultimately, I think that what the outsourcing discussion, the hiring help discussion, the partnership discussion should all boil down to: you should do what you're best at and what you're most effective at. So for me, that's writing new words. That's being strategic and planning. That's a lot of the talks that we have with people. Like I think that I do well in those sorts of things. Those are what I should do more of. And I should not be doing compiles, just as an example. But in that spectrum of you should do what's your highest purpose, it is also partnerships. So I think that the three of us are a good example. Dave is our go-to guy when we need something that's like pure creative and artistic, and we respect his opinion disproportionately more on things having to do with art and visual stuff. Sean is, and this pains me to say it because I like to think that I'm a pretty good strategic thinker. He's a better strategic thinker than me. He just is. And I'm our rough draft guy. Like we all have our strengths, but even outside of this group, like for instance, we're going to be doing the app, which is no longer going to be called Masterbeats, I don't think, just because we couldn't make it work, or there was something else called Masterbeats.
No, it was just
we're willing.
Yeah, it was because we're thinking bigger on the app, and it's not just going to be about outlining stories. It's going to be about much more than that.
Not because it was too porny.
No, actually,
no, I was willing to go.
Yeah, that wasn't actually the reason. And what's hilarious about all of this is that Cindy's actually, it's not Masterbeats anymore, which I think is funny.
But my point is that Seth and his partner are app guys, and we could try and now this is an extreme example because what the hell, like we're going to try and code an app, but we could, we could try and figure that out. But no, like why would we not partner with people? I won't go into the details of our financial arrangement, but we're not paying them. That's a partnership. Like that's something where we will both benefit. I think that our partnership with Podium Audiobooks is another great example. Like there's they're paying us royalties, but ultimately that is still a partnership. Like here's our stuff, and you do your thing, and you make it better, and so you produce this new form of art using our art, and we both make money on it. And I think that you can do a lot of that sort of thing, and the more people that you know that are good at certain things, then the better you will do. This isn't an exact example because of the details of the arrangement, but Audra, our podcast producer, she's got 20 years in radio. Like, she's excellent at radio and audio, and she understands how to do all this stuff. The last SPP episode, the last 1.0 on the old feed, was a best of that she compiled for us, and she understands how to, well, should I do this order? Which clips? And that's stuff that we could try and do, and I know a lot of podcasters do try to do their own editing and stuff, and if you want to, hey, more power to you, but I'd rather just have somebody else do that, that's what they do, that's what they like, and that's what they're best at.
Yeah, because there's a cost to everything, and if you're doing that, what aren't you doing, right? What is laying undone on the table that could help really drive your business forward? I know we're approaching the time.
Yeah. So anyway, so this is I don't know, I'm sure this is the first of many sorts of discussions like this that we would have because our business continues to grow. But I think parting words are, seriously consider offloading some of the tasks that can be offloaded, the sort of things that you can explain to somebody else and have them do it, the sort of thing that could go in a production manual maybe for admin tasks, and look at partnerships because you don't have to do it all yourselves. And I think that that's the way we tend to default.
And you shouldn't do it all yourself.
You shouldn't do it all yourself. You should look at what your highest purpose is. And small steps. You're not going to get it perfect the first time. So, so that's it, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.